Don't talk politics at work. That's what everybody says. But the truth is, you can no longer avoid these conversations. People are feeling the divide between Democrat and Republican, left and right, and there's a crisis of trust. What we need is to be able to have conversations across ideological differences. It turns out that there's a way to do this, and it's not as hard as you might think. I'm Catherine Tinsley, professor of management at Georgetown McDonough, and I research the power of personal narratives. Not facts, not statistics, stories. When we share our personal experiences behind why we believe what we believe, people are more receptive, more trusting, and more willing to collaborate. Let's earn some extra credit. The idea of studying personal narratives came during a hike in the Appalachian Mountains. We have a farmhouse out in the western part of Maryland, an area known for its conservative values. One day, I was hiking with a neighbor whom I knew had different political tastes than myself. Halfway through the hike, our conversation landed on abortion. She's definitively pro-life, and I'm definitively pro-choice. And as we got talking about how we came to have these beliefs, and as I learned her personal story about why she is pro-life, I suddenly understood how she could take such a pro-life position. I don't agree with it, but I could understand how her experiences led her to have a certain view. And it led me to feel a bit closer to her. That's when I decided to do research into the power of personal narratives. My colleagues and I ran a series of experiments with over 4,400 participants to test how well personal narratives could build relationships. Each participant received a message about a divisive political issue from an anonymous author, and it was a message we knew they would disagree with. So if someone was in favor of raising a minimum wage, they'd receive a message against raising the minimum wage. But not everyone received the same message. Some participants received a message with a personal narrative. For example, a short paragraph from the point of view of a worker who was fired after the minimum wage was increased. Other participants received the same arguments, but with no stories, just studies and statistical figures. Then, participants were asked to rate these messages and their authors on a variety of criteria. We took a look at the ratings and came away with 3 big takeaways. Number 1, personal narratives work. Participants trusted the authors that use narratives more than authors that use data. This makes sense. When you use statistics, the intent is maybe to persuade the other party. It can feel manipulative. But when you're just telling your story, you're not trying to persuade. You're just trying to be understood. And it's not that people don't like numbers, a so-called data aversion or fear of statistics. Data doesn't seem to help or hurt. Our research shows it's really about the strength of storytelling. Number 2, it has to be your story. A narrative about somebody else doesn't do it. You can't say, well, my friend's parents immigrated here from Mexico, and because of her experience, that's why I'm pro-immigration. That doesn't have any effect. It's not just about stories, it's about the personal story, your vulnerability, and your willingness to share this personal part of yourself. Finally, number 3, this trust can lead to good collaboration. In one version of the study, we showed participants 2 messages from 2 different people. One who just used the statistical facts, and another that actually embedded the statistical facts into a personal story. We then asked participants to play in a game. The good news for them was that they had a chance to win real money. The bad news was that they had to collaborate on this task with either person A or person B. Their partner could choose to tell the truth or lie, and if they lied, then the participant would miss out on winning the money. So they had to make a judgment call. Who did they trust more? It turns out participants were overwhelmingly more likely to choose the person who told a personal story, choosing the storyteller almost 70% of the time. This means that more than 2/3 of the time, people are reasoning, if I have to trust someone whose political beliefs are different from mine, I will trust the person whose beliefs are built on a personal experience, rather than the one who just uses data and statistics to support their views. What all this means is that using a personal narrative makes the other side more receptive to hearing you. It makes them trust you more and be more willing to collaborate with you for tasks that require trust. Personal narratives are one of our most powerful tools for building trust in a world that so desperately needs it. This is bigger than any one election. In such a divided world, we need to be able to turn to our colleague and say, I respect you. Let's agree to disagree. At the end of the day, That's what builds not only a happy workplace, but a healthy democracy and a better nation.